So if you've ever talked to a newer real estate investor or someone that's doing construction renovations, one of the typical filters that a lot of folks use when deciding on types of materials or types of contractors is price, right? They think, hey, you know what, I'm gonna get a couple of bids, or I'm gonna price out some different options, and I'm probably gonna go with the cheapest option. What I thought I would do in this video is talk about why I think that's a very one-dimensional way of looking at renovations and construction, and why it actually might be costing you money both financially in terms of the project performance as well as long-term brand value. So if you're a newer investor or someone doing developments and you're not sure how to make your decisions, this is going to be the video for you. So let's get at it. What's going on, guys? My name is Lior and welcome back to my channel. Now, before I get into the meat and potatoes of the video, two super quick things, guys. Number one, if this is your first time on my channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out content here on all different facets of multifamily investing, from financial analysis to construction renovations, tours of my projects, and literally everything in between. So if that's the kind of content you're looking for, make sure you subscribe to the channel. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes. And as I said, right, like if you talk to anyone that's kind of starting up, or maybe even more experienced guys, right, that are doing a lot of construction and renovation, you know, and they have to make decisions about type of contractors or type of material, right? You almost always will hear them talk about price, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna try to go with a cheaper method or cheaper alternative, whether it's type of countertop, right? Whether it's like type of flooring, fixtures, you know, I mean, and it could be even at a higher level, right? It could be, you know, are you gonna do certain plumbing things, certain electrical updates, right? And again, price typically drives those decisions. And while that might make sense if you kind of look at it and, you know, think about it a little bit at a high level, it's actually a very one-dimensional way of looking at things, right? Because, you know, selecting and filtering upfront about what you're gonna do to your project, whether it's a rental project or a for sale project, right? So whether you're doing a multifamily, let's say that you're gonna renovate apartments, or maybe you're renovating a single family that you're gonna sell, or even renovating a multifamily that you're gonna condo off, right? In any of those instances, deciding purely on price is very one-dimensional. So let's start about thinking about how this can impact you, right? So from a financial perspective, let's talk about the project performance. And from a project performance perspective, let's think about what happens when you start cutting on price, right? So let's say you make a decision to cut on price on a bunch of different things. How can your project be negatively impacted by those kinds of decisions? Well, when you're done, your apartment might sit longer on the market, right? Because, you know, tenants are coming by and they kind of just don't think it's an amazing apartment. So you're going to incur longer vacancy. You can rent out a unit and then have more turnover in the future, right? Because what will happen is tenants can come in, maybe you rent out your unit, but then, you know, that tenant's going to look for alternatives when their lease is coming up. And maybe they can find a nicer apartment that has better finishes or better amenities than your apartment, which is going to cause turnover costs and, again, vacancy, obviously. So that's going to cost you in that way. And what's probably the worst way is maybe because you didn't do certain things in your apartment, because, again, you went on price, you actually got a lower quality tenant, right? And that lower quality tenant caused more issues, caused more maintenance issues. Maybe they beat your unit up more. And again, you can kind of see the financial toll. Now, if you're doing this on a development for sale, right, whether it's a single family or whether you're doing a multifamily that you're gonna flip as a multi or flip as condos, right? The obvious ways that, you know, cheaping out on certain things can cost you is your unit sits on the market longer. Right, so obviously, you know, if you've got holding costs, if you've got like some sort of mortgages that you're holding on to while you're trying to sell off your property, you know, you're going to incur those costs. And B, you know, you're just going to get a lower price, right? Because, you know, potential buyers are going to walk through, you know, they're going to be like, hey, this is all right, but the competition has potentially better offerings, or maybe it's just not speaking to me and I don't really want to buy this house or condo or whatever it is, right? So you could see that in both of these instances, again, whether you're going to go, you're putting your project up for rent or put your project up for sale, you can see how thinking very one-dimensionally about price can actually cause you more financial loss down the line if you do so without really thinking it through. The second type of harm this can cause you, and this is something I've kind of picked up, honestly over the last year or so that I've really started to become very conscious of, it can impact your brand long term, right? And if you're a small term, maybe if you're a small term investor, and let's say maybe you only own a handful of buildings and that's kind of your aspirations, maybe brand doesn't matter as much necessarily for you, right? And, totally nothing wrong with that, because you're just gonna own a couple of buildings. It is what it is. I don't really care if people know me for someone that does great work or not. Fine, I get it. But if you're someone that's looking to scale, right? And you're looking to build a big portfolio, or maybe you're looking to do a lot of developments, whatever it is, and you plan on being in this business, like this is your business, so you're gonna be in here for the next, 20, 30, 40 plus years, right? Your brand will, people will associate you locally with the type of work that you do, right? So if you put out crap product, like I've seen this, like people get reputations for not putting out amazing product, right? I mean, that's just what it is. Same thing with like, developers that do projects that they later on sell. Like there are obvious reputations in the marketplace for people that do exceptional work versus not, right? And again, that has huge financial value for you, right? Because it could impact the if people know your company name for doing good or bad work, it will impact you down the line in terms of what numbers you can get on your projects. It could impact deal flow. It could impact lending, right? I mean, it could really have a huge impact on the overall financial performance. So hopefully you're kind of getting the point that I'm driving home, right? Which is, look, obviously as investors, we have to be cost conscious, and basis, of course, is everything for investors. Like I will be the first to admit that, right? You've got to have strong basis on your acquisitions, on your construction, but you cannot look at, making decisions on a renovation or construction site very one-dimensionally. Oh, what's cheaper? I'm gonna go with that, right? That's just a fundamentally very straight line way of thinking. And again, you can see that if you don't carefully consider all the different options you have, it can cause you more financial harm down the road. So you're gonna take more losses than you might have if you just spent the money today, right? So that's kind of the point I'm looking to drive home with you guys. I know it's a little bit out there, but I think it's a really, really important, especially if you're looking for long-term success in the business. So hopefully that's helpful, guys. Of course, if you think I'm crazy, if you think I'm wrong, or if you agree, make sure you smash the comments, put comments in below, and I will definitely help you out.